Hi, I'm Tucker, and this is an overview of my term paper outline. So I'll begin my introduction with a brief recap of women representation throughout the last century or so and how it has increased, but there still are gender biases and stereotypes that exist in film, but also just in society in general. Then I'll introduce what I'll be talking about in my paper with comparing Angus Varda's Le Bonheur and Mimi Leder's The Peacemaker. I'll talk about the different approaches, but then how they both give the same message in the end. I'll end with my thesis statement. And then in my body paragraph, my first one, I'll focus on Le Bonheur and talk about how Therese conforms to traditional roles, but still is met with that disrespect from her husband because he cheats on her. And I'll talk about the techniques. So first, the coloring, the bright colors makes it seem cheerful and makes their marriage seem perfect. So I'll include a screen capture there. And then I'll also talk about how Therese suppresses her emotions, and I'll mention when she says, "Why don't you come to me?" because that's like the only time in the movie when she expresses that discontent to Francois. And I'll mention a couple other techniques too. Then in my second body paragraph, I'll just focus on the peacemaker, and also talk about leader's technique, specifically about the framing and how you see Julia in that male-dominant workplace, like how she's talking and then it pans to her audience and it's just men. And then I'll also mention the plot, how Julia's met with challenges and hard decisions, and then of course the character interaction between her and DeVoe and his disrespect. Then in my final body paragraph, I'll connect the two films by comparing and contrasting the approaches and their overall messages. Then in my conclusion, I'll give a quick recap and briefly talk about the techniques that were used, and then finish it with a greater significance about how there needs to be more discussion on gender dynamics in marriages, but also in the workplace. And here are my screen captures down below. Thanks.